So my name's Keith Gelhorn, and I'm just going to tell you a little story about how I came to be here. My story is kind of a humbling one in a lot of ways. I'm just going to tell you a timeline of how it came to be. So anyways, I was born in BC. My parents were 16 and 19 when they had me, and they ended up giving me up for adoption. And I got adopted into a pretty decent middle-class family. My parents my mom's a nurse, and my dad's an accountant, and they ended up having my sister a couple years later, and we formed this nice little nucleus of a family, right? One of the things my dad really believed strongly in was treating people fairly, so everything was equal, and which sounds like a good thing to be, but we all know that no two people are created equal, and it really kind of hit me pretty hard. My sister she was kind of like a superstar athlete. She went to university, had on athletic and academic scholarships, and she now has a PhD in behavioral genetics, which was inspired by the crappiness kid that I was, and to put it mildly. And I'm not going to tell all those stories, but I'll tell a few. Anyways, so I grew up in this household where I was always feeling lesser than. My whole life I was feeling lesser than. And as she kind of boomed, I kind of bust. And the only class I did really well in all the school was human services, actually. So it was me and 30 women, and I'm playing this helping role, and I'm like, this is pretty cool, but then I was like, who's going to take a guy serious in this role, right? So I decided in grade 12 that I'd go into to be a firefighter. And you needed to take chemistry to go into firefighting, right? So I walk into the classroom, look at the board, and it could have been in Chinese for all I cared, right? I didn't understand anything that was on it, so I walked away and never went back to that class. So at the end of the year, it was like, Keith Gelhorn to the principal's office. I'm like, oh, here we go again, right? I've spent lots and lots and lots of time in there. And so I go in there, and they're talking about all the provincial exams that I'm going to have to write. And so it's English and math and whatever else, and then it comes to chemistry, and I was like, I haven't been in chemistry. I haven't been to the class. I went once, and I walked out, and I was like, I'm going to fail. And this principal said to me, he says, well, Keith, given your performance here at this school, it doesn't matter what you do in life, you're always going to be a failure. So that was my send-off heading out into adulthood, which was wonderful. Anyways, so I went off to, I gave up my firefighting dream, and I went off to get into social work. That's what I wanted to do. So it took me about 4 years to get through 2 years worth of studies, and I went up to the University of Victoria, tried to get in for social work. They took a look at my transcript. I had like a 70% average, and they said, you know what, you're not cut out for the world of academia. Maybe you should get a trade. So again, big blow my whole life. And so I did. I worked in the trades. I worked in hydraulics for about 8 years. And then I went off and I had some major stuff go on with my legs. I had this circulation issue. It was kind of a rare thing when I was 26. So I was off work for a year thinking about the next stage of my life. And so I decided to get a trade, a better trade that paid decent. So the last thing I ever wanted to do, I said it over and over, I never want to be a plumber. But I sent out resumes, like 100 of them, to all these jobs, and the first person to call me back was a plumber. So I'm like, all right, I'll be a plumber then, and started doing that, and I was doing that, and everything was pretty good. Actually, I was decent at it. I could follow directions well. If somebody told me what to do, I was good at that. But on September 20th, 2006, my birth dad committed suicide. And it was a major blow. This just happened. His anniversary was just 2 days ago, so it's kind of close to my heart. And him and I had met when I was 24, and not really connected too well, but I started to get to know him kind of after the fact. Got to know his personality, kind of fully understood the nature-nurture thing, because a lot of the ways that he reacted were very similar to mine. And but I didn't want to go down that road. I was like, I'm going to be successful one way or another. So I ended up pushing forward. I finished my plumbing, so I'm a journeyman plumber and gas fitter by trade, and moved up to Kelowna, BC, bought a house, bought every toy known to man. I had my garage so full of stuff that I couldn't even park a car in there. I was like, this is living the dream, man. This is wicked, right? And in 2008, the whole thing kind of came to a head. The economic downturn nailed us out in BC, and the company I worked for went from 77 to 4 in 6 months. And on December 15th, 2008, I'm literally like walking across the threshold and the phone rings, and I'll never forget it. He just said, go to the office, you're done. So I had all this stuff. I just moved my fiance up there at the time. I was doing not so well. So I got diagnosed with depression, anxiety, which made total sense at the time, and then with ADHD 2 months later. So they put me on antidepressants and Ritalin and said, go back to work, everything's going to be fine. I went back to work and I was like, I'm kind of fine during the day, but when I get home, I'm just right back to normal, like really moody, and I was a bit of an arsehole back in the day, to put it mildly. Put it in nice terms. And so the guy, I went back to the doctor, and the doctor takes out a script and starts writing something. I was like, well, what are you writing on there? And he's like, I'm going to give you another prescription for some more Ritalin. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. There's got to be something else out there, right? I need some extra help. And I said, just put it back in your pocket. I'm done. I'm not taking any of this medication anymore. I'm going to go look for some real help. So anyways, a year went by. I found a support group in Vancouver. Kind of sat amongst people who thought like I did, acted like I did, and it was an ADHD group. And went to the guy at the front of the room. I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I'm an ADHD coach. What's that? And he's like, listen, you don't want to do it. They never pay their bills. You're never going to make any money at it. They're moody. You don't want to be around these guys. Right? And I was like thinking about it. I was like, no, I said, it was kind of like that full circle moment back to that human service type thing. And I was like, this, it's kind of a piss poor attitude for a coach. And I can do this better than he can. So that was it. That was like the last kind of knock to me, and I was like, no, I'm doing this. So I started looking around. I realized there's about 6,000 coaches in the States. In Canada, there was 50. East of Ontario, there were none. My wife, or wife-to-be at the time, was from Antigonish, so I was like, you know what? Let's just move out there. So that's my impulsive thing. So I basically packed up the house, sold it, lost a killing on it because moving out there to here is different. Anyways, but on the way over, I kind of became overwhelmed from the transition, and as excited as it was to come over here and start a new life, I was freaking out, and I had this thing with my wife of 4 months, and in 30 seconds I pretty much killed my marriage in a 30-second conversation. And we came over here. We were here for about a month, and it was a week before school started actually. And I come home, and my dog's gone, she's gone, everything's just gone. I'm standing. I rented this log cabin out in Shorts Lake, and I'm standing in this driveway middle of the night, and I was like, I could either go down this path, which I've been down many, many times before, the negative path, or I could shift perspectives and use this as an opportunity to go down the other way. And I was like, I'm not going down this way because it would just be the easy way out, so I'm taking the right path. So that's when it all started. So I went to school, and my second big takeaway was around relationship building. So I went to school, and I basically said, I'm going through all this crap. It's not a matter if I'm going to blow, it's a matter of when. So if you guys could support me, I'd really, really appreciate that. And sure enough, like 2 weeks later, something went wrong as when I was doing this computer class thing. Blew up on this teacher, and realistically, I should probably been let go from the school, from the stuff I did. I actually did a big petition up to get the guy fired. I had 150 signatures on it as to why he shouldn't be part of the school, and was fighting it. But then I was thinking, I was like, wow, what did this guy really do? He didn't do anything. He just, wrong place, wrong time. It's my problem, not his. So I kind of went to him in his classroom and I sat down with him, and I said, I'm really sorry, man. I'm just going through this other stuff of my own. I apologize. And he's like, you know what? I've been in child and youth for 25 years. What you did is nothing compared to the stuff that I've seen, right? And in the end, actually, he ended up giving me this writing award at the end of the year, and for being like professionalism in writing. And so I walk up to him and I was like, you gotta be like bleeping kidding me when I took when I took the award from him. And he's actually just recently hired me to do a national conference in child and youth. So again, that power of the relationship building has been major. So anyways, I started this ADHD support group in school, partly for other people, mostly for myself. And everything was going good. So it's like full-time school for human services during the day. I was running the support group in the afternoons. I'm going to coaching school at night. And my goal was to be a clinical social worker. 4 months into it, I got a call from the province. So somebody from Dalhousie University basically exhausted all the resources, called up to the province, demanded a coach. They'd never heard of such a thing. They started phoning around all the universities, happened to land on NSCC up there in Truro. Say, we got Keith here, he's running these support groups, let's give him a shot. So they started me with 2 students. Then the next year I had 10 while I was still in school and doing all that other stuff. Then the next year they gave me 30. Right now I got 40, and I contracted to 6 nonprofits here in the city. So it's just completely kind of shifted my life. So currently what I'm doing now, I guess in the last, 2013 was kind of another massive shift. They gave me the go-ahead to coach at every post-secondary institution in Nova Scotia. In April of that year, I won Entrepreneur of the Year. In June, I graduated with honors, top of the class, and won every single scholarship I went into. I won every single one. It was just bananas, right? But all I did was tell my story. I was genuine, and then when you're genuine with people, people buy into that. People want to be around you. It's not about BSing each other and going down that road, right? So then I got picked up as a high flyer with Ricky Goodall. He's here in the crowd today. And with High Flyers, they picked kind of the top 15 entrepreneurs in Nova Scotia to go at it. So just been kind of this big whirlwind. So where I stand today is I've got a proposal into the Premier right now to get ADHD Awareness Week recognized as the first province in Canada to do it. Vancouver is the first city, we'd be the first province. And so I'm going hard with that. That would be pretty neat. Not guaranteed, but we'll see. I'm compiling a book. I'm not saying I'm going to write a book, because there's no way in heck I'm going to write my own book. I can't even read a book, let alone write one. So I'm compiling a book, and this was rooted in a workshop that I did. I've done lots of workshops over the years, but one of them, people were writing about just leaving experiences, what they thought about the workshop at the end of the year. And they said, it's really nice to see somebody actually succeeding. And I was like, you know what, everybody in here is succeeding. They're all here taking in information. You're all here and have something to contribute. So the idea of this book is just to have everybody write a page of the book. Everything that gets, if we make any money at it, hopefully we will, all the money is going to go back to scholarships for people who have attention deficit, or loans if they want to go start their own businesses, or whatever else they want to do. But I'm not taking any of it because, like I said, I didn't get here alone. So that's the bulk of where I'm at. I did want to leave you with one thing. Oh yeah, no, I got one more thing. Gratitude. And you talked about thanking your team earlier. There is no way I would have been here by myself. And a lot of people get into business and I did this all alone. That's a bunch of crap. The most successful people, they get to where they're at with people like you being part of it. And there's a lot of people that have been part of my sporting team. Bruce Miller is going to come up and speak soon. He's one of my big supports, I guess, and support you as well. So yeah, just being grateful for the people that are around you. Anyways, I got one thing I'm going to read because I can't. I said I can't, but it's only see, it's got a picture attached to it, so it's good. So I'm going to leave you. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Richard Branson. You guys all know who he is, founder of Virgin Airlines, right? He left high school when he was 16, and the headmaster of his school told him that he'd either be in jail or he'd be a millionaire. Well, the latter's partly true. He now owns over 200 companies, and is worth an estimated $4.5 billion. So this is from Branson himself. To be successful, you have to be out there. You have to hit the ground running, And if you have a good team around you and more than a fair share of luck, you might make something happen. But you certainly can't guarantee it just by following someone else's formulas. Thank you.